take number 457. Cześć, it's Michalina from Coffee That Gives a Pack. Welcome to the second video about coffee from New Zealand, cultivated by Ikarus Coffee Farm. Link to the first part, which was the interview with the owner of the plantation, here. And also in the description of this video. I dedicated whole 2 episodes to this matter, because growing coffee in New Zealand is something very unusual, let alone doing it with the success. So I really recommend to watch an interview with Rob. Not only it will bring you the story of the plantation, but it also explains what is so special about it and why I think that it deserves our attention. My name is Michalina and this is Specialty Coffee Channel. I use this YouTube platform to talk about the benefits of switching from drinking commodity coffee, so the coffee that you can buy in the supermarket, to specialty coffee. So coffee prepared with much more care and passion. Many people, if they witness a conversation between 2 coffee passionates about their percentage of TDS in anaerobic Colombian Omni Roast, might have this perception of specialty coffee industry not being easy for everyone to fit in. Like it was only for some coffee geeks, which is absolutely not true. So if you like drinking coffee, subscribe to my channel and watch my episodes to find out that coffee can be even more delicious. Perhaps you will learn what is actually behind the back of your favorite beans, and also how by drinking it, you might bring some benefits to people who produce that coffee. You can also follow me on Instagram with the same name, Coffee That Gives a Pack, where I post updates about coming videos, share some not super serious behind the scenes, and invite everyone to create this channel with me. Now, this intro is already way too long, so cut. Back onto the coffee from New Zealand. As I promised in the last episode, I really want to share my thoughts on the taste of the coffee itself with you. For me, even just for the fact that the coffee plantation exists in New Zealand is already sufficient reason to get my hands on the coffee. However, I do realize that one may ask, one thing is growing the coffee, but will it be even good? First of all, what is good? My good might be different from your good. We all like different things, and that also applies to the taste of the coffee. So to make it as objective and as easy to translate into your own preferences, I decided to focus on 3 main coffee attributes that you can find in all of the beans. They are level of acidity, level of sweetness, and level of bitterness. Those 3, when combined together in the way that none of the attributes dominates over the others, when they only complement one another, create so-called balanced coffee. Looking for that balance in the coffees that I will be tasting for you today will be an indicator of our today's good. Full disclosure though, the coffees that I will be tasting are from last year's harvest. So theoretically, they've been picked up and roasted around 10 months ago. Theoretically, they are way too old to be any good, but I found a way to preserve their freshness, and it's not that I discovered it exists in the coffee world for a while now. I vacuum sealed them and kept in the freezer that preserved their freshness for a long time, and they were waiting for a special occasion for me to use them again. Today feels like very, very special occasion for that, so the day has finally come. And I'm lucky enough to have 3 different types of beans coming from the same plantation. Rob was experimenting with the same variety by applying different processing methods to it. So first coffee that I will be trying will be so-called natural. Coffee cherries, after they were picked from the trees, they were drying under the sun for extended period of time before they achieved desirable level of moisture. The second coffee that I will be tasting was pulped anaerobic. That means that in this particular coffee case, they were sitting in the pro-grain bags for 72 hours as a whole cherry, with the fruit still on the beans. After that time, they were taken out from the bag, pulped, so the fruit was separated from the bean, and the bean itself was sitting under the sun and was drying for an extended period of time. And the third coffee that I will be trying was anaerobic natural. So same thing, as a whole cherry, they were sitting in the pro-grain bag for 72 hours. After that time, they were taking out the bag and as a whole cherry still put under the sun to dry out to the desirable level of moisture. So same variety coming from some plantation, but processed differently. And that creates 3 differently tasting batches of coffees. I will be tasting them all together. I will brew them, I taste them, I describe them, and then I will decide which one is the most balanced one, and the winner will move on to the next step of the tasting. Will you ever start actually tasting the coffees, Michalina? As the goal of this channel is to compare specialty coffees to commodity coffees, I think it's a good idea to compare the coffee coming from Ikarus plantation to those two. I think setting Ikarus coffee beans alongside coffees coming from both ends of coffee industry, so specialty coffee and commodity coffee, will give us a good picture where would that New Zealand coffee fit in the industry. I will be tasting those coffees in form of blind tasting. No, in form of blind cupping. Cupping is the great tool to check the quality of coffees. All the coffees on the tables are prepared in an exactly same way, same time, according to very standardized recipe. It is perfect way of learning how different coffee beans might be from each other. By blind cupping, I mean that I won't know which coffee is in which vessel. I was making those coffees. I drank some of them before, and I also know what to expect from coffees processed in various ways, so that prior knowledge could bias my opinions of the coffees when I will be tasting them. I want to be as objective and authentic as possible, so I don't want to know what's in the cups. Luckily, my lovely assistant is ready to help as always, so he mixed all the mugs for me. Let's do it! I have my favorite one. Right, so when it comes to acidity, it's difficult to tell between these two because it's different acidity. This one is more like tropical fruits. This one is more apple, both quite intense. This is very low. I'd say this one is more acidic. So 1, 2, 3. When it comes to bitterness, this one also is quite bitter. Definitely much more bitter than these, but it's not overwhelming. Perhaps medium, or here, very low. Also very low. The highest bitterness is here, then here and here. Now when it comes to sweetness, this one not so much. This one, way sweeter. Both of these coffees are very pleasant. This one lacks a little bit of flavors. I'd say comparing to these, it's quite flat. There is not much happening here. If I had to choose which one will advance to the next level of tasting, I'll take this one. This one is more complex. which one that is. It's the pulp anaerobic. This one, I think it will be also the anaerobic, the natural anaerobic one. Yes, it is. And the natural. Let's move on to the second part. So easy to tell. I don't even need to drink more of these coffees. This one is commodity coffee, this one is specialty coffee, and this one will be the Ikarus one. Let me check. Ikarus, commodity, Colombia, specialty coffee. This one here, the commodity coffee, is way too bitter to my liking and to be described as any balanced coffee. It lacks any of the acidity whatsoever. The bitterness here is so overwhelming that I can barely taste anything else. Because it was roasted also darker, I tried to find commodity coffee that when it comes to roast profile is as close to these two as possible. But you never know, they don't say it how it's been roasted and it's usually dark anyway. This one is more balanced than this one, although these taste both really nice. And I have my own preferences, but as I said, I want to look for a balanced coffee and this one is definitely more balanced. There is very easy to recognize sweetness on the coffee. Scoring from low to high, it's quite medium. The acidity is also present, but not as much as here. This one, I'd say it goes more into the acidity way rather than having all of the three parts staying on the same level. And also because of the way how the coffee was processed, here it's very clear to tell that there are some tropical fruits coming from the processing stage. While this one is very nice and rich in flavors only by the natural characteristics of the bean itself. This coffee is smooth, medium body, while this one lacks a little bit of the thickness that I enjoy in coffees. And if I had to compare one more thing, which is an aftertaste, this one disappears from my tongue way quicker than this one. So we say that it's a longer aftertaste. If the coffee is good, it's a good thing. While this one is really not nice and also have a long aftertaste. But in this case, it's definitely not pleasant. So to sum it up, taking that I was looking for the most balanced coffee, this one is today's winner. Cheers! Okay, so this is actually not surprising. This is something that I was expecting. The specialty coffee that I used for this experiment was coffee from Colombia, so the second biggest producer of Arabica coffee in the world. They have years of experience of growing coffees, experiments on the processing ways. So to compare that coffee to the coffee that is just being made the best to its potential, theoretically should bring those results that you saw. Ikarus Coffee Plantation is very new plantation, taking that it's not a typical for growing the coffee area's climate and only just recently started its journey. It needs some time for Rob and maybe all those people who want to be involved in the project to discover what is the best way to work with that coffee to make it tasting the best it can. However, I liked this coffee already much more than the commodity coffee. It was way more balanced, it was way less bitter, and I know that the roasting process also has an impact on the taste of the coffee, but still, I do believe that the quality of the beans and the care that goes into growing it makes a huge difference. I'm really super excited to see what the future will bring to Ikarus Coffee Farm, how the history of New Zealand coffee plantation will evolve. Sign up to their newsletter to receive a notification of when the coffee will be actually released. Maybe you will be lucky enough to get your hands on the beans just like me, and you will have your opinion about it. If you will, let me know how you liked it. Perhaps you already have tasted some of the coffees from Ikarus Plantation. What do you think about that coffee? Did you like it? Do you think it needs more research, more work that needs to be done? What do you think about the future of plantations like this? Will it become coffee's future normal? Tell me what you think. I want to know. Peace and coffee.